The latest episode of Foxborough Rush. Keegan Stiefel and I run through the entire coaching staff that Mike Vrabel and the Patriots have announced, the good, the bad, what we love, what we hate. And then also three-time Super Bowl champion Lonnie Paxton stopped by the show. Yeah, that's right. Lonnie Paxton, some great stories about his playing days, being around for the start of the dynasty, and also all his endeavors off the field, which is all about making the game safer as well. And Monday, special interview dropping with Bill O'Brien, head coach of Boston College, where he talks Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel as well. That's Foxborough Rush, new episodes 3 days a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, let's get to chat. All right, what's up? What's happening?
Yeah!
Welcome in.
Yeah!
The Super Bowl is almost here.
This is like our Super Bowl preview show.
He's Travis Thomas. That's exactly it. I'm George Balekji. This is Boston has entered the chat. We got a packed show for you guys. Trav and I are going to preview Super Bowl LIX. I forget the exact number. I stopped counting.
Yeah, what is LIX?
63?
I don't know.
59? Shout out our producer, Brendan. I don't care. It's a Super Bowl. That's all I care about.
The Super Bowl is the only place that uses Roman numerals. Let's just update this.
Let's just stop.
Yeah, right?
Let's get modern.
It's 2025.
For G damn it. Travis Thomas and I are going to talk Super Bowl 59. Drew Bledsoe stops by the show. Yeah, that's right. Drew Bledsoe, Patriots legend and legend of the NFL. And then also Travis Thomas, Ountae Campbell, and myself run through the NBA trade deadline as well. But Trav, let's get right into it. Super Bowl 59 preview. Chiefs, Eagles, 2.
Ooh.
Second time in the last 3 years of meeting.
Yeah.
Last time they matched up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Chiefs won 38-35. Some questionable maintenance of the field.
Yep.
Some questionable calls by the refs down the line.
Yep.
But with all that behind us, this is now 2025. What are you most looking forward to, this matchup between Kansas City and Philly?
Questionable calls in that last game, maintenance of the field. A big mistake from Jalen Hurts in that game was the difference.
Yeah.
I'm a fight fan, George.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time, whether it's MMA or boxing. First fight is a classic, and that's what this was. Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl I was a classic. Mm-hmm. And it was such a close fight, using my analogy, that in the rematch, I'm going to go the underdog this time around. I've vacillated on this game all week. I, at one point, felt like there's no way I can bet against the Chiefs. Yet when it came time to bet, damn it, I put my money on the Eagles. I don't think Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback I've seen standing in the pocket making throws.
That's fine.
However, the dude just wins, and he just knows how to make the winning plays in the winning moments of big games, from college all the way through now to the NFL.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Hurts is the difference in this game. I know Saquon is fantastic, and you could argue is the MVP of the league. But I think the Chiefs' defense is good enough. Spags is great enough as a coordinator to take away your strength. Not to say Saquon will be shut down. He'll have a fine game, but I don't think he's going to be the MVP. I think Jalen Hurts will. I think Hurts makes the plays from the pocket.
Yeah.
Hurts makes the plays with his legs. And most importantly, he has learned you cannot make a mistake against the Kansas City Chiefs with that championship pedigree. I don't believe he will. I think Hurts has a clean sheet as far as turns.
Yeah.
He's the MVP. Last game was high scoring. This one I'll go low. Defense on display.
Two great defenses.
Two great defenses.
I'm going to go good coordinators.
I'm going to go 26-20 Eagles. In somewhat of a boring game, Jalen Hurts, my MVP. He's the difference. Wow. Touchdown on the ground, touchdown through the air to A.J. Brown, whoever.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts MVP. He's going to Disney World. Eagles are the champs.
You know what I'm looking forward to the most, man? First off, we have history on the line. Chiefs are going for the three-peat, which started with them beating the Eagles. Eagles could get their second Super Bowl. I'm excited to see the Chiefs against a real elite team, well-coached on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. Let's just run through their last few 7-8 wins. Who they beat to get into this game. Bills, poorly coached, unprepared, weren't ready for the big moment. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen played fine. Sean McDermott lost him that game. They beat the Texans. Bad offensive line. Team that was reeling and barely got by them. When they beat the Steelers were on their way out on that losing streak to end the season. They beat the Texans again. They beat the Browns before that, who are absolutely atrocious. They beat the Chargers, who lost on a doinked-in field goal by the Chiefs. And then before that, they beat the Raiders, where Antonio Pierce handed the Chiefs the game time and time again down the line. I don't think this Eagles team is going to bail out the Chiefs late. And I go back to when they beat the Texans in the opening round for the Chiefs in the playoffs. And it's Mahomes to Kelsey touchdown, Mahomes falling down, doing his thing, Superman cape. Defense on the field, sacked CJ Stroud on 4th and 10. I go, this is it. This is why the Chiefs are going to win the whole thing, because their offense shows up in the big moments. Their best players do, and their defense is elite. What does the offense do to follow that up? 3-and-out punt. Texans get back into it, and the game is close. They can't close games. They've kept it too close on the field.
Yeah.
And who have you beaten? Who have you looked like to get there? Because end of the day, I'm doing eye test.
Yeah.
I'm looking beyond 15 and 87. I'm looking beyond Andy Reid. I am looking beyond the refs.
Sure.
How the Eagles got here. They held the Commanders, one of the most efficient offenses, if not the most efficient offense in the NFL, 23 points.
That's right.
They beat Stafford and McVay.
Yep.
They dominated the Packers.
Yep.
Just their path to get to this point. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I'm looking forward to see how the Eagles play, though. They got to step up. It's not going to be easy, to your point. But this Eagles team is outfitted to beat the Chiefs. This Eagles team is outfitted to win a Super Bowl.
Okay, so give me a score.
You said 26-20. It's a 1.5 point spread. Vegas is telling us it's going to be close. I think Eagles win 24-21. I think it's going to be close.
Right there.
And the Chiefs are going to keep it close. Man, look, in all of this, like there's the X factor. I'm going to name 2 guys. To me, on the Chiefs, it's Steve Spagnuolo, but more importantly, what does he do with Leo Chenal? Because what the Chiefs can do is they can rush 4. You have to be gap-minded. You can't let Saquon Barkley bounce runs to the outside or cut back.
No.
Leo Chenal's been that Swiss Army knife. He's split his snaps between the box and lining up on the edge. But if he keeps Saquon Barkley in the run game in check, you bottle up the Eagles, then it all happens. Then on the other side, the X factor is simply Vic Fangio and this defense. How prepared are they matching up with Andy Reid?
Sure.
Because you know Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are going to get Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown matched up with the slower defensive backs for the Eagles. But my thing with all this is, when the defense for the Chiefs matches up with that Eagles offense, look, Saquon against boxes with 7 or less defenders, he's averaging over 5 yards a carry. Okay, well, you're going to need 2 defenders on A.J. Brown.
Yes.
You're going to need another on Devontae Smith, and then another after all that on Jalen Hurts
Can't
to make sure he
cover
doesn't
everybody.
use his legs.
Yeah.
That's 7
Right.
to take care of this run game.
Sure.
How does Kellen Moore do it? And then again, the X factor, Nick Sirianni. Can you not F this game up?
Yeah.
I trust the Chiefs head coach. I trust the Eagles roster.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this roster's so good for the Eagles that they win in spite of their coach. I think we would both agree on that. I hear you. Listen, my X factor, I guess, on the other side of things would just be the defensive line for the Eagles, period, because I'm hearkening back to the Chiefs-Bucks Super Bowl
when it was an
with
awful
Brady.
offensive line for Mahomes.
And bro, the Bucks defensive line
won that game.
I mean, they won that game.
Yeah.
They wreaked havoc.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes could do nothing back there. Now, his offensive line stunk back then, to your point, so I don't think it's going to be quite to that level.
Jawan Taylor's terrible at right tackle.
Well, I'm speaking more to the Eagles side of things.
Yes.
The defensive line is as stout as it gets.
Yes.
So I think this defensive line can manufacture pass rush here and make Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. If you could do that, you have a chance to win the game. And we've seen the Eagles stand toe-to-toe with this Chiefs team in this spot before. Yeah. That's the X factor here. And that's why I say it's going to be a little bit of a boring game. I just think the Eagles would control the line of scrimmage. We're going to have a low-scoring rock fight here.
Which they can, and that's what they want to do, though. You keep Mahomes off the field.
That's right.
You don't give 15 as many chances. He's the most clutch player in the NFL right now. You don't want him to have the football with the game on the line.
That's right.
That's what it is. If the Eagles can control possession, control the ball, then they'll be good in this one. So I say 26-20. I said 24-21.
26-20.
You said 26-20. We both have Eagles winning. Real quick. Who's your MVP?
Jalen
You said
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts minus Saquon. But we see it on that offense ruling the way. So, all right. That's a Super Bowl preview. We're excited for that one. But hey, make sure to also check out new episodes of Boston Has Entered the Chat, dropping every day of the week, Monday through Friday. That's Boston Has Entered the Chat, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. You could also watch on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. If you're on Nesson's YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, leave us a thumbs up, and we'll get back to you all on that. And always make sure to email thechat@nesson.com or tweet at us using the hashtag NessonChat. Now let's throw it over to my guy, Trav, catching up with our guy, Drew Bledsoe.
All right, here now with Patriots legend, Drew Bledsoe. Drew, thank you for joining us, my friend.
Great to be with you, man. So, yeah, this is always a fun week. It is kind of odd for Patriots fans, though, man. There was a lot of years, man, where their team was in this game for so many years in a row. So I know it's kind of odd for Pats fans to not be in this game.
Yeah, Drew, I've heard about it all week long, my friend, all week long. Let's start here. I mean, hey, if you had one game, and it couldn't be yourself, your only options were Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes to start that game, who would it be?
Oh, man. Well, if you're talking right now, I would say Pat. Tom's retired, so he can't play anymore. I will. Yeah, right. So that's how you dodge the question, right? You got to be a politician, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, both of them, both of those guys, just kind of had that magic at the end of the game. It's sort of similar how it feels when those guys have the ball at the end of the game, the way it felt with Tommy and the way it feels now with Mahomes. It sort of feels inevitable. If the Chiefs are behind, late in the game, you're like, man, I've seen this Hallmark movie before and I know the ending. I know how this is going to come out. If it's close at the end, the Chiefs are going to win it.
Yeah, I've always wondered, how do you sort of quantify it? When people say, well, they just have it. You were a guy who could command a huddle. I mean, I imagine, as a big fan of yours, if I'm in a huddle with you at the end of the game, I feel like we're going to win it. Both Mahomes and Brady have that. What is that, Drew? I mean, how do you quantify that? How do you explain that factor?
Yeah, it's a cool question. There's certain guys that just feel really comfortable in that kind of situation. I felt really comfortable in those kinds of. We didn't always work our way, but I always felt comfortable in that kind of situation. And I think if you're wired a certain way, which certainly both Tom and Patrick are, when everything else is super frenetic and crazy and like everything's going crazy, there's a calm that kind of comes over you. And you watch that with these guys when it comes to crunch time, you can feel them. That's when they feel most comfortable, which, for most people in the world, that's when you would feel the most stress. But if you're wired that way, that's when you feel the most comfortable is in those kinds of situations. You can certainly see that. And then what that translates to is the rest of the team believes it as well. When the rest of the team believes it, then you make magic happen.
Obviously, we know Tom, master in the pocket, surgical, cerebral, pre-snap, all of that, the toughness, all of that. But I see all that with Patrick Mahomes as well. Some other things that he adds, some wrinkles, obviously the mobility, the throws off platform that he makes, Drew. I mean, when you watch this kid, Patrick Mahomes, have you seen anything like this? And I know a lot of it's Andy Reid's system, and I get it. But just breaking him down as a quarterback, Drew, have you seen anything like him, or is he a one of one?
He's a one of one so far. There may be some guys that come up, following him, but look, for me, forever. Even though I'm older now, there aren't very many guys where I like, all right, well, if I was on that team in my prime, I'd still be the starter. I feel like with most of the quarterbacks, that's always been the case. With Pat, I would just tip my cap and go hold the clipboard because the dude can just flat out friggin' play, man, and he has that extra dimension of being able to move around, and it just there seems like there's always, especially in playoff games, seems like there's always one or two pivotal plays where he creates something off script, whether he runs for a big first down, whether he makes somebody miss and finds Kelsey. There's just always one of those plays that is totally off script, that really changes the entire game. And that's where, that's to me is where he really truly separates from everybody else. He can obviously throw it well from the pocket. He spins it. He throws it really accurately. He throws a great ball. But those off script plays, that seem to always come at very pivotal times in football games, is where it really separates from the pack.
You know what's so fascinating to me about that answer is I even did it in my question there. I said, well, I know he has Andy Reid, but just hearing you say that, makes me feel like if Patrick Mahomes ended up on Team X, right, without Andy Reid, Bears, Jets, whoever it is, he would have been just fine. And then Andy Reid is obviously what takes him over the top and makes him a superhuman. Is that fair to say? That's what I'm picking up from your answer here.
Yeah, I'd never really figured out how to quantify, percentage-wise, the difference that a great quarterback like that can make. But it's not 100%. You couldn't go take, Pat and put him on the Browns, for example, and all of a sudden they're Super Bowl contenders. It doesn't matter how great you are as a race car driver. If you're driving a slower car, you're not going to win, right?
Sure.
He's had a pretty damn good offensive line in front of him forever. He's had, one of the best pass catching tight ends forever. And so he certainly has those benefits. But then whether that's, 20%, 30%, whatever it is, the difference that he makes personally versus other quarterbacks, it's definitely real. I just don't know exactly how to quantify, in like games above replacement, how much more they would win. I think they would still be damn good if they had a journeyman quarterback, but I don't think they would be winning, multiple Super Bowls.
Drew, one of the narratives around this Chiefs dynasty, of course, everyone wants to compare. So, okay, we're watching this Chiefs dynasty. We appreciate it. But it goes back to, the Patriots did it for longer. The Patriots this, the Patriots that. As you're comparing these two dynasties right now, hey, tip of the cap to the Chiefs. If they three-peat here, that's something that wasn't done during the Patriots dynasty. How do you sort of see it? Are there some comparisons here? Do you see some similarities, or is it two completely different animals in your mind?
No, I think fundamentally there's some great similarities. And one of the biggest ones, and it's interesting because I talk about this with our business as well. One of the most important pieces to consistently winning is you have to not lose, right? And so when I say that, the Patriots back in the day and the Chiefs now, when it's crunch time, they never make the mistake that loses the game. The other team does. You watch the Patriots through all their greatness, they never made the big mistake at the wrong time. And the Chiefs right now, you watch them, and that's one of the reasons that at the end of these games it feels so inevitable if it's close, is they're never going to screw it up. They're going to continue to make the plays. Sometimes they're simple, sometimes they're difficult, sometimes it's Pat Mahomes off script, sometimes it's this. They're going to make those plays, but they're never going to make the play that loses the game. And that was one of the keys for the Patriots for so many years, and it's certainly one of the keys for the Chiefs. The highlight plays, make the highlight shows, after the game, but they never make the mistake that loses the game, and that's why it feels so inevitable.
Yeah, I guess in this way, too, there's a business parallel here where if you're comparing both of the dynasties, I watched Tom Brady win in different iterations of the Patriots. Early on, it was defense, and then it became Tom's show, and he was throwing all over the place, especially when he had Randy Moss. He's breaking records, and then, obviously older Tom had to kind of adjust there, and we're seeing that with the Chiefs as well. Right? Mahomes, early on, he had Tyreek Hill, Drew, and they were putting up video game numbers, and now they're doing it more with defense. And maybe, I guess, in business, to your point, it's the same way, right? Seasons change, business is booming one day. Next thing you know, it's a global pandemic, and you got to figure it out, right, Drew? There's parallels there I can see as well, right, with different iterations.
No, you're absolutely correct. And there's things are always going to change. That's the one thing that's always consistent is change, right?
Yeah.
You watch the different iterations of the Patriots where they were formed in different ways. Different leaders had to step up. Different playmakers had to step up. But they had great consistency in how they were doing things. And it's the same with the Chiefs. Early on you're right, it was video game numbers. It was Tyreek Hill, running faster than everybody else. Now it's a little more methodical in how they approach these drives. They're not as many big explosive plays. They're just consistent drives that are picking up chunks a little bit at a time, running the ball more effectively with Pacheco, who always, I just love the fact that somebody described and said, it looks like when he runs, it looks like he's angry at the ground, like just stomping the ground. And so it does change and it evolves. but the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and both teams were always very good in the trenches, and that's not the thing not the sexy thing that people like to talk about, but man, they've been good on both offense and defensive lines, pretty consistent throughout the years, which allows Pat that opportunity to continue to make plays.
Well, listen, Drew, all week I've been saying it's too premature to say Mahomes against Brady right now. He has to do it for a long time. I've also said all week that I'm taking Gronk over Kelsey because Gronk was a better all-around tight end when you throw in blocking. But I've got pushback on this one, Drew. I have conceded now. I am willing to say that I believe that Andy Reid is the greater coach. And the reason why is because I've seen Andy Reid win with multiple quarterbacks in multiple places. I have not seen Bill Belichick have the success without Tom. And so that's where I will give the Chiefs dynasty an edge, an advantage at the coach. Am I being fair or am I insane like the people around here think I am, Drew?
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair debate. How about that?
Okay.
Andy Reid, like you say, he's been successful in multiple places, multiple systems, multiple owners, quarterbacks. He's been kind of the consistent in that whole thing. I'll be very curious to see how Bill does in college. I think everybody's going to be super curious to see if his coaching style translates to the college game. It's going to be very interesting to watch, to say the least. But yeah, Andy, and then the other thing is, and I've said this, numerous times, and everybody probably will concur out there. Looks like it's a lot more fun to play for Andy. I mean, Bill is just notoriously just dour and businesslike, where it looks like Andy's actually having fun. The only time it ever looked like Bill was having fun was after the final snap of the Super Bowl. That's when he would actually really celebrate. But Andy kind of looks like he's having some fun with it, which, there's certainly different ways to do it, but it certainly looks like it'd be a lot more fun to play for Andy than it was for Bill.
Drew, you brought this up, and I'm still in shock. If I had told you 5 years ago Bill Belichick would be the coach at UNC, I mean, Drew, he's Chapel Bill. This is Chapel Bill we're talking about, Drew.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's just going to be a really interesting experiment, and I don't know the outcome. I wouldn't bet against him in this deal, but it is hard for me to imagine, Bill Belichick, at least the Bill Belichick that I'd know and played for, sitting in the living room of a 17-year-old and convincing him that this is what we're going to do, right? I mean, right. It just. In the pro game, it's like, hey, do your job or you're fired. And in college, it's kind of got to be a little warm and fuzzy. And so I'll be curious to see how he does from that standpoint. I think anybody that played for him it's really hard to envision that scenario where you're talking to a 17-year-old as a 70-something-year-old and convincing him it's going to be fun.
Hey, you've been recruited, Drew. I mean, what do you think that looks like? Bill Belichick walks into some stud 5-star quarterback's living room. Like, what do you think that looks like, Drew?
Yeah, he does have personality, and we've seen that, in this past year where he's been out of ball. He actually, when you get him out of the office, is a pretty engaging guy, and he can be very interesting, and he can be a great conversation. But I don't know. It's just from a professional standpoint, it is. For anybody that played for him, it's hard to envision what that looks like with him sitting there, trying to, chat with this 17-year-old kid and tell him how much fun it's going to be to come to Chapel Hill. But hey, like I said, I wouldn't bet against him. I certainly would never put money against him being successful.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. And I'll say this, and you've seen this as well. The college game has changed so much now that it is very pro-like between NIL and transfer portal. I mean, that's free agency and trades, essentially. So I could see him having a lot of success at UNC. Do you actually think, maybe timing-wise, Drew, this makes a lot of sense because college is so much like the NFL now. Maybe Bill will translate just fine and have a lot of success. Do you think he'll struggle with sort of that transition from the NFL to college, or do you think the way the college game is set up now, that'll be easier?
Being a college coach right now, seems so damn difficult. Because the biggest difference between college and the pros, at least you have guys under contract and you know how long you have them. In the college game, a guy can leave any year, and I've talked to a number of guys, and Nick Saban famously said that he got out of the college game because of that's the way it was now. And I think that part will be difficult for Bill. I think I read that he's bringing in a GM, which a lot of these programs are going to have to do now. So that it at least frees him up. But it'll be interesting to see because now in the college game, you recruit guys to your program and then you have to recruit them all the time. Otherwise, they're jumping and going playing for somebody else. It just seems like a really, really difficult task these days to be a college coach because you just never know. When one of your star players is going to, get offered a few $1 million to go to another school, or if they're not happy in their situation, they can just jump. I don't love that aspect of it, to be honest with you, because one of the things with football, it's supposed to be hard, and you're supposed to sit behind a guy for a little bit and learn and take your lumps and all of this stuff. And it kind of seems like we've created this culture where if you're not happy, then you just leave. And I really don't like that aspect, because that was one of the beautiful things in football is that it's hard. It's difficult. You're going to go through down times. You're going to go through hard times. You got to fight through it and continue to go rather than just, I don't like it here, I'm going to go. I really don't like that aspect of it, and I hope that at some point they rein that in a little bit.
Wish I had some double back Cabernet right now. I would cheers to that. That was well said, my friend.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I'll drink for you. It's a little, it's that time. What time is it? It's like 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Isn't
That's
that the
it.
song?
That's it. Wine o'clock is what time it is. I'll be out there with you soon, Drew, having one with you. All right, let's go back to the Super Bowl here because I'm looking at talent on both sides. I mean, offense, defense, you have great quarterbacks, you have great coaching. Everything here, we just watched this game a couple years ago, and it was a great game. How do you see this one playing out? How do you see the rematch going?
I personally think that the Eagles on paper are a better team top to bottom. But, like we talked about earlier, the Chiefs seem to just have that magic of making the right plays at the right times. Until somebody knocks them off that perch, they're going to continue to be the favorite. I would not bet against them in this game. But the one thing that I do think, I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, and I think it's going to be a great game. I really do. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. The Eagles with their two-headed monster with Saquon and with Jalen, and Jalen throwing the ball and running it. Man, they put a lot of pressure on a defense. They're going to score their points. The Chiefs, when they have to, they seem to be able to respond. And I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to come down to the end, and we'll see if the Eagles can finally knock them off that perch and keep them out of the end zone at the end.
I tell you what. If they get it done, especially hearing you say you think we'll get another high-scoring game again, it's going to be Jalen Hurts, who, by the way, had a tremendous game against the Chiefs just a few years ago in this same spot, and he made one mistake, Drew, one mistake, and that was the difference in the game. I have to imagine he's thinking of that and sort of replaying it over and over again in his head. I think we're going to get the best Jalen Hurts in this game. I've asked you 1,000 questions about Patrick Mahomes. What do you make of this kid, Jalen Hurts? Because everywhere he goes, Drew, he wins from college, high school, now the NFL. This guy's a winner who makes winning plays and winning moments. What do you make of Jalen Hurts?
Let me just start by saying I love the dude. His whole story and who he has been through his career as a leader, as a person. At the top, let's start there with just absolutely just tremendous leadership and character across the board. As we talked about earlier, when you're the quarterback, you're the focal point, and you've got to be the guy that people believe in, and you can just tell across the board that everybody believes in him. As a passer, he's not Patrick Mahomes. Nobody's Patrick Mahomes as a passer, but does throw the ball very effectively, particularly working the ball downfield. But then, man, his running ability, he's fast, he's strong. And that's why I say they start going with this read option stuff with him and Saquon, and then he has the ability to go RPO and throw it off of that. man, it just seems like a nightmare for a defensive coordinator to try to deal with this guy. When you've got one of the best running backs, I think one of the top guys, in recent memory, in the backfield next to him, and then Jalen can pull it down and run it very effectively, and he can throw it effectively. It causes problems, man. It's got to be a defensive coordinator's nightmare thinking about Jalen Hurts with all he's got going on.
All right, I asked you this. If I had told you 5 years ago Bill Belichick would be coaching UNC, Drew, if I had told you 5 years ago Tom Brady would be calling, not playing in, calling the Super Bowl, Drew, what would you have said? And what do you make of Tom as a broadcaster? I think he's pretty good.
Well, first of all, I think that was a more realistic outcome 5 years ago than Belichick coaching at North Carolina. It's that's sort of more of a natural transition. I think Tom's doing a good job. I think he's continuing to grow into the role. I actually talked to him when he called a game in Seattle and talked to him about how it was going. And one of the hard things in that role, as a quarterback, is you have just this mountain of knowledge in your brain, so much football knowledge. How do you bring that down and speak concisely in like 5-second sound bites in a way that the fans can understand? If you ask Tom to sit down and diagram a play, well, he could talk to you for probably at 45 minutes to an hour about an individual play. But you have to be able to take all of that knowledge and speak in small sound bites in a way that is digestible to the common fan. And that was the biggest thing that he said was a challenge for him was trying to, drop in things that were interesting in really small bites for the audience. And so I think he's definitely getting better at that, and it's something that I think he'll continue to improve at for as long as he does this. But it's a performance, it's not really necessarily about how much it's about this duet with your partner, and how you're working that. It's almost like you're almost like a musical performer in real time. So it's he admitted that it's been a challenge for him, but I think he's getting a lot better at it, and I think he'll do a nice job with this game.
Drew, I'm a wine lover, and I am so jealous right now because I just want to be taking some sips with you, my man. But I have tried Doubleback wine, and I love it. Please, I mean, you're with family here. You're with wine family. Talk to me about Doubleback wines. Tell me about this 2002 cab you got rocking. Tell me I could come out there and hang out with you. Let's just talk wine, please.
Yeah, come hang with us. It's my hometown. The wine's called Doubleback because I grew up there. I grew up right in Walla Walla, and then after my career, doubled back and went back home to start a wine business. From the very start, we intended to try to make wines that were, world-class wines. And I've been able to put a great team around me. I've got an amazing winemaker, Josh McDaniels, and a great team all the way from the vineyard through the entire process. We have 5 different vineyards, great diversity in our different vineyard sites, so we can make balanced, elegant, interesting, complex wines year in and year out. And it's a continuous progression. We've been top 100 wines in the world a few times, but we still feel like our best wines are in front of us. And this 22 vintage that we just released, I think, is the pinnacle of what we've been able to create to this point. For people that are unfamiliar with wines in Washington State, we like to say we combine the best of the new world with the best of the old world. We've got old world tannin, structure, and acid, but we've got new world fruit. So that they're wines that are enjoyable right now, but will also reward years in the cellar. It's been really fun, and one of the things I told our winemaking team recently that makes me the most happy is we're now 18 years into this business, and if I go down in my cellar, and we've got lots of different fancy wines down in the cellar, if I'm going to go pull out a bottle of wine that just purely makes me happy, it's one of our own wines. I still really like our own stuff, I think the old saying, I think it's in the drug dealing world, but we apply it to wine, is you're not supposed to get high on your own supply. Man, I like drinking our own wine. I really like drinking our own wine, man. The wine just makes me happy,
Yeah.
It really does. And that's what I'm sipping on right now as we're talking. I'm sipping on a glass of Doubleback Cabernet, and it just puts a smile on my face. So it's been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to hosting you when you come out, man. We'll take great care of you.
I know. I need it, man. Cab, Pinot, white, it doesn't matter. I drink it all, Drew. I love it all. And like I said, Doubleback's fantastic, and I'm definitely going to take you up on that, my man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming in to Boston, has entered the chat, and just vibing with us, man. It's been a great interview, and I told you off camera, I'll tell you on camera, huge fan. This is a career highlight for me, Drew, so I appreciate you being so gracious with your time, brother.
Truly love it. Love being, and I love always one of the things that the wine deal has done for us is we can make up excuses to come back home to Boston, on a pretty frequent basis. They're work trips, right? But I get to come out and see friends and Boston and New England, it really was our second home. I grew up out there, got there when I was 21, left when I was 30. So it always feels like a homecoming when we get to come back. And so, now we just need you and some of your Boston friends come out and see us in Walla Walla. We'll do a home and away.
Absolutely. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
Right on, man. Appreciate you.
Check out the latest episode of Foxborough Rush wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. New episodes dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of the week. We had Lonnie Paxton on. We got Bill O'Brien on. That's dropping Monday morning. Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcast. Full Patriots coverage. New episodes 3 days a week. All new guests as well. All right, let's bring them in, man. Ountae Campbell from Hold My Banner. You guys know him as a co-pilot to T on that show. Stand up in the green. Tay, what up?
What's up? I'm happy to be here to talk NBA trade deadline with you boys.
Bingo.
I'm so excited.
Bingo. So, quick spark notes. Brandon Ingram's in Toronto. Oh. Jimmy Butler's in Golden State.
Yep.
De'Aaron Fox is in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. And Trae Young's the only guy left in Atlanta. Well, let's get all into it. Man, Tay, first off rip, trade deadline came and went. It's closed.
Yeah.
A lot of movement happening out west. But what are your takeaways when you look at how the trade deadline went this past season?
Oh, man. My takeaways is that nobody's safe.
Yeah.
Everybody can get traded. It doesn't matter if you're the best player in the league or the worst player in the league. You are expendable. So I'm excited to see what's going to come in the future from this trade deadline situation and how players kind of lean more into player empowerment and how ownership and GMs kind of try to take that power away from them is going to be a real battle for sure.
We talked about this on Hold My Banner, George. 8 All-Stars in the league have been traded since last weekend all the way up to the deadline. That is insane.
Yeah.
So to Ante's point, I mean, anyone can get traded. He's absolutely right about that. Superstar, role player, doesn't matter. So let's get into winners and losers.
Okay.
I have 2 winners here. I think both the Cavs and the Bucks won. Look, for the Bucks, a lot of people have been taking shots at Kyle Kuzma and saying, oh, he's in one of the worst shooting slumps of his career. He's a loser because he played for the Wizards. I look at the Bucks as a team that needs a third fiddle. You have Dame. You have Giannis. Kyle Kuzma is an upgrade over an old, washed Chris Middleton.
Yep.
And I think some of the shooting slump nonsense that's going on with him is because he plays in basketball hell with the Washington Wizards. So now he gets to a place where he can actually win some games. I bet you Kuzma plays well. And we've seen him in this kind of role before in his career, and he's much better as a third fiddle than being the man or a second fiddle. As far as the Cavs, they're clearly gearing up for a long, drawn-out series, I think, maybe 6 or 7 games with the Celtics. Yeah. Adding DeAndre Hunter. I like what this team is doing. They're built on defense. He fits into that culture. He's a decent shooter. He's a good scorer. And again, they have 2 guys already in Garland and Mitchell that can get it done, so he can come in and play that role as well. So Cavs and Bucks, for adding that third piece, are winners for me. What do you say, Tay?
Look, George, I got to ask you a question before I tell you mine. Is this like the biggest winners, or are we just talking winners in general? Because ain't no way Travis Thomas just told us that the Milwaukee Bucks getting Kyle Kuzma shooting 28% from 3 this season is the biggest winner of this trade deadline.
I didn't say the biggest. They're winners.
I'm just asking. I'm asking a clarifying question.
All right, let me bring the piece. Okay. We're going winners overall with this combo. Hey, but you know what? It's ambiguous. You take it how you want.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to say the biggest winner in your eyes, because that's how I went went with this one, and I'll prepare for you guys. But real quick on the Cavs being a big winner, they are though.
They are.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you have Garland and Mitchell.
Cavs are up there.
Yeah. Now you have
If
Garland
we're
and Mitchell.
talking-
You got DeAndre Hunter playing a career best year for the Hawks.
Yeah.
Then you got Isaac Okoro now coming off the bench, and then of course you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Tell you, how does everyone move in the East right now? Can you match up on the wings with the Celtics? Getting DeAndre Hunter, who's shooting really good from three this season too.
Hey,
that spacing, size, and defense. It's good. I'm backing up Trav. I hear you, bro.
I love Cavs. I love Cavs. I think Cavs are top 3.
Yeah,
no question about that. They might even be top 2 for me.
That Cavs trade is a needle mover.
Yes,
you know what that
is.
Kuzma trade is for the Bucks? They're right here still.
100%.
No.
Just
Who's
fluttering.
yours? Who's yours, Ountae?
100%, exactly. That Bucks moves not so much. But
Well, who's yours?
that's why I'm going with the Spurs. I think that I was thinking biggest. The Spurs are the biggest winner.
Yes.
Out of this trade deadline as
Bro,
a whole.
Western Conference
they
Finals
got
loaded.
rid of a couple of guys who are good players, but nothing of the caliber of De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
They fleeced
Yeah, they did.
the Kings on this trade deadline. I watched that game that De'Aaron Fox played in his first game for the San Antonio Spurs against the lowly Atlanta Hawks, like you said, with nobody
left
in that city. And De'Aaron Fox just fit perfectly.
Yeah.
Forget the scoring. We know he can score.
Right.
13 dimes.
That's crazy.
13 assists in that game. This is the perfect pickup to set up for a dynasty in the future.
Yeah.
It might not be this year. They might not be a contender this year. They might not be a contender next year. But De'Aaron Fox is a young star playing with Wemby on a rookie deal. So they will have cap space to go get somebody else in the future, in the short future. So this might be a team that might be a finals appearance kind of team 2 years, 3 years from now. They got to keep Stephon Castle. They got to keep Devin Vassell. They got to keep Jeremy Shohan. They got to keep Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
CP3. What else could you ask for?
Yeah.
In this situation? Nothing. This is a team that's going to build with Keldon Johnson as well. They have a young core that is ready to be ready for a dynasty in the future. Will they be able to keep them together? Who knows? They have to complete it, but they did this perfect deadline to a T. This is an A+ deadline for the San Antonio Spurs.
Bro, can you just imagine the fact that the Spurs are able to pull this off? And again, like I said it with you guys on Banner, it says a lot about De'Aaron Fox, where the whole existence is going to be different. It's going to be a bigger stage, even though in San Antonio, you are playing with the most popular player in the world right now. Like, actually. Now, is he better than Jokic? Not yet, but he's going to be in that GOAT combo, in that top 5 combo, sure enough, if Victor Wembanyama is not there already. But it says about Fox, he's like, bro, I've been in Sacramento. I'm not going to do another rebuild. I was a man here. I'm going to get the bag with San Antonio anyway, but pair me up with the future face of the league and basketball around the world. And this is a team now. You mentioned the core they keep. All those guys are around 21 to 25 years old. Some as young as 20. But with him and Wemby, he's 28, De'Aaron Fox. That is a Western Conference Finals ready next season. Like I will not be shocked if they're there. The jump Wemby made offensively from rookie season to season 2. Now pair him with the De'Aaron Fox. Chris Paul's teaching the Spurs how to win. He's teaching them how to be professionals, how to play basketball. Now De'Aaron Fox is that final stamp on how to win. My winner in this, and I'm talking about the bag solely, is Jimmy Butler. That's it, bro. What are the Warriors doing?
Hey, you're not wrong, man.
Bro, what are they doing? But Jimmy Butler gets his way out of Miami. It all started from when he said, if I was playing, the Knicks would damn sure be home. The Celtics would be home. And Pat Riley said, if you're not playing, shut up. That started the whole fracture of their relationship. And he was saying, wherever I go, you got to agree to an extension. Get straight to Golden State. And they give him 2 years, basically $58 million a year. Woo. The Jimmy Butler for the bag is my winner. As a team, the Lakers are the winner. You get a generational talent in your door. He's 2 years away from hitting free agency. Yeah, you could have that opinion on it. Bro, he is talented as all get out. 25. And guess what? He's pissed off now.
And Luka.
And he's pissed off right now. Luka Doncic is pissed off now. With all that, And then I'm going to pivot it right into my loser in this.
All right.
It's the Warriors. As Jimmy's the winner, the Warriors are the loser. You got Steph Curry, who's going to be 38 by the time his contract's up.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler's going to be 37. And then Draymond Green's going to be 36.
Yeah.
You have Jonathan Kuminga. They must hate Jonathan Kuminga for some reason. If you got $58 million with that second apron coming down, give $30 million to Kuminga. Build the team out. They're making that last-ditch effort to get Steph a ring. He needs the help desperately, but the Warriors lost in all this, man. It was a weird trade. Everyone goes, well, if Jimmy Butler's sheer will. Bro, will does not win in the West anymore, man.
No,
you need
you're
more
right.
than that.
I actually said to Ountae, this is the first time I remember in the Steph Curry era with the Warriors where I looked at a move and said, what the hell are they doing? They're usually so smart and ahead of the curve. This one, I would have to agree with you. They messed up. So they're one of my losers as well. Not only because this just reeked of desperation, but I don't think Jimmy Butler and Draymond are going to get along. I think they're going to be throwing hands any minute now. And then the Suns is another loser for me, guys. Look, I get you can't trade Bradley Beal because of that albatross of a contract that he has with the no trade, and he's saying, I'm not going anywhere. There's nothing you can really do. And obviously you don't want to trade Booker if you don't have to. But I think you move KD. And the reason why is because it's clear. We've seen enough. KD, Booker, and Beal just don't work.
Yeah.
You got to break it up. You got to figure it out. You got to start thinking about the future. They didn't do it. They just stood pat.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake.
Yeah, look, Travis, I'm with you. That was a huge mistake. They didn't really do much at the deadline. My team is along the lines of that. You said how Jimmy Butler and Draymond are going to be fighting, and got me thinking, squabble up. Hey, squabble up. And I want to squabble up with the Timberwolves GM for not doing anything.
Sitting on your damn hands.
The deadline.
They didn't do anything.
They are the biggest loser for me at the NBA trade deadline because they made that move at the beginning of the season to get Julius Randle and get Karl Anthony Towns out of there to New York for cap space, freedom, and all of that other stuff. But this team simply has just not been working together. I'm not going to waste too much time. You should have done something. You should have done something, anything, but you did nothing. And so the Timberwolves in Minnesota are the biggest losers of the NBA trade deadline.
Bro, can you imagine the Mavericks, how pissed they got to be? Well, no, let me actually say this. How pissed the Hawks have to be. Because they're selling everyone, and they're going to lose Trae Young.
Yeah.
When they're like, wait, we could have just traded Trae for Luka.
Right.
And then we could have gotten this right all these years later.
Right.
We could still trade everyone away.
That's true.
But all you wanted for Luka was a player, another player that's just a let go, and then a pick? One pick? Hawks are just selling. And Trae Young's not going to be with them much longer,
fact,
man.
yeah.
So that's how it goes. Hey, with the Celtics off to a shaky start in the new year, but they're recovering and all these teams around them loading up to challenge them. How's it all looking in the NBA? You can find the latest on Hold My Banner, hosted by our guy Ountae Campbell, hosted by our guy Travis Thomas, as you hear him right now. That's available wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. You can watch on Nesson's YouTube page, Twitch, or Facebook. And hey, if you email thechat@nesson.com, write in it. These are for my guys on Hold My Banner. I want to answer this question. I want it answered about the Celtics. Hold My Banner wherever you get your podcasts. Now, all this happening, guys, here's my thing.
Yep.
Who's a bigger winner of this whole week? The NBA, because they had the sickest trade deadline in recent memory?
Yeah.
Or is it the NFL because it's Super Bowl week for them? But the
please.
NBA found the way to dominate Monday through Saturday.
The damn NBA is a winner. No one cares about the Chiefs and Eagles again. I know we talked about it, George, because we have to do it.
Yeah.
But who the hell wants to see that? People want new blood. They're sick of the Chiefs, and here go the Eagles again. I mean, we just watched the Super Bowl. It's the NBA. Kudos to Adam Silver, who said, hey, ratings are dipping, interest is low, hold my beer, watch this. We're trading all the damn stars in the league. It's the NBA.
Look, over there, I know Roger Goodell is seething at the mouth. He's
dare
foaming
they
at the
take my
mouth
attention.
right now that the NBA is getting more attention than the NFL. It's all about what I was singing earlier, Squabble Up, Kendrick Lamar. All I'm hearing about is proposals with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. I'm hearing absolutely nothing about this game. The only thing I've seen about this game is Jameis Winston having fun in New Orleans.
Facts.
No one's worried about the football that's going to be played on Sunday. It's everything else surrounding it. Yep. I'm even hearing about Disney what if commercials and all different types of stuff. We're talking about commercials, and they haven't even started it yet. So I'm all in on the NBA winning this one as well. Travis, I'm right there with you. George, how do you feel?
Last word.
Bro, Saturday night, like the clock strikes midnight, and then the craziest trade in any sport happens. Like let's think about it for the NBA, and then it's carried over deadline by deadline to the part of like up to the trade deadline and when it expires. I'm like, wait, this guy's here, he's there.
Yep.
That happened. He's Jimmy Butler saga ending, but just beginning with the Warriors. It's now peaked interest in the NBA. The NFL season's about to end. To your point, Tay, everyone's going to be watching Fox and Wemby in San Antonio. Everyone's going to see how Butler plays with Curry and Draymond out in Golden State. And now the interest for the Cavs peaks up even more. Dallas, Los Angeles Lakers with all the new faces, and the Celtics, everyone still wants to see them fall.
Yep.
Man, the NBA won this week by far.
Of course.
I do not care for the BS podium sound of the circus at his media week for the players leading up to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't, bro, Mahomes getting asked, who's your favorite ref? Travis Kelce, something like I actually, in that case, I feel bad for the players. Like, that is when it's gone too far. You could have your view on the Chiefs. The NBA won this week.
Yeah, before we close it out, George, I just have to say, even I am flying from Boston to Los Angeles just to watch Luka play his first game in the Lakers jersey because I got to see it at this box office.
Even though you hate it.
I'll be back here with you guys. Yeah, I'll be back here with you.
Even though you hate the trade for your Lakers.
It's not my Lakers, but
even though you hate it.
It's history. I have to see it. You know how I'm rocking. You know what I mean? Celtics winning the championship. But I got to come back and hang out with you guys to watch the Super Bowl, of course.
Of course, my guy. Hey, quick 48 hours for my guy in LA. Suppose coming back for the big game. Next time, Tay, we have you back on, I'm going to put on your lower third. Only person in the world that thinks the Lakers made a mistake by trading for Luka Doncic. He's Ountae Campbell. He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. This was Boston Has Entered the Chat. Make sure to catch new episodes every Monday through Friday. Wherever you get your podcasts, we got the latest in guests. We got the latest in talks around sports and culture. That's Boston Has Entered the Chat, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime, and also catch on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We'll see you guys Monday morning with a fresh episode.